which takes us to Fire Island and kicks Dankal into the top right side. But first, we're going to be taking a look at Mates Vindies, the purple allies in the top left side, and then as the blue Soviets in the top right, we do indeed have Mates Dankal. So the series from these two players, pretty evenly matched overall, I would have to say. In this series in particular, these two players are pretty evenly matched. However, what is going to be the end of game number 4? Is it going to be Dankal taking this series 3-1? Or will Vindies really be able to push us into an ace match? It is going to be a war factory, and this is, of course, going to be before second refinery, so this is pretty much the fastest war factory that you can get. Notice that there was no barracks, which means that Vindies is going to have immediate scouting information, but he may also have an opportunity to secure both of these oil derricks. If he sees that, oh, hey, there's nothing on the field here, I have a slim chance of possibly being able to grab both of those oil derricks. However, exactly twin blades, terror drones out on the field will make that very difficult. It will take some pretty good control of Vindies to make sure that his engineers arrive there safely. However, it is going to be only one. Interestingly enough, I thought for sure he was going to be going for 2 of those terror drones, but walls will be established for sure by Vindies. It'll be a huge mistake if he does not establish his walls. As you can see, he's got his walls up right there, which will be limiting these terror drones. However, Bullfrog going to be the follow-up, so it's Terror Drone, Sickle, Bullfrog, which is really about the fastest units that you can get out, and it is going to be actually interesting, expand before tier 2, so not a lot of hammer tanks are going to be out on the field, which means not a whole lot of pressure coming out from Dankal. There's going to be the second engineer from Vindies, but with the sickle on the field, it's going to be very hard to secure that oil there with just those infantry, and we'll have to keep an eye on this terror drone. Very nice terror drone from Dankal, but as you can see, these dog placements are absolutely great from Vindies. He's got scouting information all over the field. He knows roughly the position of that terror drone, and he's basically always got it in the back of his mind. If it takes out a dog, then he's like, okay, so the terror drone is going to be over there. He's got 2 Vindicators crawling around the map as well, which could be used to go ahead and take down that terror drone, but the engineer going to be very careful about trying to walk up to that oil derrick to try to take it over. And that terror drone going to be catching sight. Okay, yeah, the walls are up. Can't really do a whole lot just yet, but he definitely wants to make sure that he keeps a hold of that terror drone. 1 and a second Bullfrog getting sniped down, but ultimately that is a Bullfrog down, a second Bullfrog down. But that, as you probably saw, was $550 going to Dankal. So that's going to be a nice little return on investment. Dankal could actually be ending the game right here. No, he is actually going to be going for the Vindicators. If he went for those units, he could have done a huge amount of damage. However, the terror drone going to be waiting just outside for this prospector, and so it's sort of like, well, do you go outside and get eliminated by the terror drone, or do you stay inside where the sickle is constantly shooting you? And it is going to take multiple Vindicators to try to take down one of these sickles. However, the second sickle will get eliminated almost immediately. Nice jump in there by Dankal, however, doing a huge amount of damage to the prospectors, meaning that with those prospectors in that low damage mode, or in that heavy damage mode rather, they're going to be moving very slowly, forced to pull that prospector off of the line. Sickle getting eliminated, the third base established for Dankal. A nice transition here by Dankal. He knew exactly how to open on this map, despite the fact that he didn't even get a barracks at any point. However, this engineer still going to be running around the map. The third base established for Dankal, or for Vindies, and the fourth base getting established for Dankal. We do have 4 Vindicators on the map, which means that Twin Blades could be very powerful. We have an entire airfield locked up with Vindicators. However, he loses 1 right there. That's 1,200 credits down the drain. He was able to utilize those Vindicators to help eliminate those sickles, but ultimately, that slow prospector is going to be hurting him in the long run. Is it going to be an Apollo? Because, of course, the Apollo will be allowing Vindies to deal with Twin Blades more effectively, and, of course, Twin Blades, a favorite unit of any Soviet player. It's going to be another Vindicator, and this is going to be very troublesome for Vindies if he does not get proper anti-air up, just because there is likely going to be a Twin Blades on the field. But we'll have to see, is Dankal going to be rushing for those Twin Blades, or is he going to be looking to do some damage with hammer tanks on the ground? Because, of course, hammer tanks are going to be getting picked off by these Vindicators. Vindies has showed us that he definitely knows how to use Vindicators. He's going to be able to split their damage up just perfectly to do as much damage to those hammer tanks as possible. And going to be taken out, possibly. Oh, never mind. The terror drone actually takes that dog out. Won't be able to take out the ore collector either, just because it locks up into that armor mode. So, not a whole lot of damage output there by... Oh, these Javelin Troopers could actually be getting sniped down by these Sickles if they get the proper jumping. They could... might... Alright, so they're just actually going to be getting eliminated for the most part. They just did absolutely nothing. Almost absolutely nothing at all. I think they eliminated one Javelin Trooper and not a whole lot else. But he trades it for 2 of those Sickles. Not a good exchange there for Dankal. However, it's not going to be too bad of an exchange. He should definitely be able to get this Prospector. He's going to be getting money back from that, and then likely getting money back from the Sickle Dine as well. However, no, it is going to be the snipe on both of the Bullfrogs. They should both go down. However, losing one Vindicator and not losing a second one is going to be great for Dankal. Going to be a fairly even exchange there between the two players. However, it looks like Vindies finally able to secure that second oil derrick. 4 bases on the field for both of these players, 4 refineries rather. The barracks just now being added on. However, the airfield is already on the field. MiGs up in production. 1 single MiG on the field. MiGs and Twin Blades, and Terror Drones, rather, Bullfrogs, going to be able to do a huge amount of damage. 3 Bullfrogs going to be converging on this location with that MiG, meaning that that attack will be getting forced back, and this is going to be a rough situation for Dankal. He's going to need the ground army to help lock down these Bullfrogs, but also to put on constant pressure. These cryocopters need some sort of support other than just the Vindicators running around the map. However, the Vindicators could be doing a huge amount of damage here. Are they going to be forced to split their bombs to eliminate some of these Bullfrogs? Nope, looks like that ore refinery will still stand. However, could go ahead and laser lock 1 or 2 of those Javelin Troopers. Doesn't actually get the chance. Loses a Twin Blade, though. So I guess that is going to be a nice hit for Vindies. But Vindies taking quite a few losses. Not going to be establishing a base just yet. However, the MCV on the move. It's not looking to expand. It's looking to push. Going to be grabbing 1 of those oil derricks. And no hammer tanks out on the field just yet. Quite surprising from Dankal. He's not going for a strong ground army at all. He's instead just going to be going for those Twin Blades. Nice splitting of the... Oh, was that... Nice splitting of the Vindicators, meaning that they were able to do a fair amount of damage. Once again, lost a single Vindicator, but it took out at least 2 of those Bullfrogs for the trouble. MiGs and Twin Blades heading out on the left side of the field, and including a couple of the Terror Drones as well. The Twin Blade could actually get... Or the MiG could actually be taking down that Cryocopter. Going to be getting the infect on that Prospector. Might actually just pull the Twin Blade off of the Prospector at the last moment. Nope, ends up eliminating his Terror Drone inside of that. Could have pulled it off at the last moment, and possibly that Terror Drone would have been able to survive. But it does look like the Guardian Tank is going to be in position, as well as these Cryocopters, to lock down any sort of infantry that pop out of that barracks. Vindies going to be heading in with a couple of units here and there. He spotted the hammer tanks. He knows that they're out on the field. A 4th one being added on as well. A 5th soon to follow. And this is what's going to be happening. A huge push on multiple fronts could end up doing a huge amount of damage. The Tesla Coil, it is going to be a Tesla Coil push to some degree. However, losing 2 Cryocopters, loses only 1 there as he almost tries to freeze down the Conyard. However, yeah, he utilized that Cryo Shot and then just wasn't able to make anything happen with it. Barracks will be getting eliminated, but the MCV going to get caught out at sea. Where are the Vindicators? Are they going to be sweeping in? They're up in the north trying to deal with the hammer tanks. The single Athena cannon going to be getting pulled around that war factory. It's simply not enough to hold the front line. The front door being smashed in. Vindies going to be losing the Athena cannon right there. However, the MCV is unfrozen and on the move. Could be going to unpack once again to set up that Tesla Coil. However, Vindicators coming to the front line, which means 2 more hammer tanks say goodbye. Although, no, that one is that double vet status, which means 2 hammer tanks went down anyways. A couple of veteran statuses being assigned to those Vindicators. Going to be a nice little boost for Vindies. However, 4 hammer tanks out on the field, 5 and 6. No, that's a Bullfrog, not an additional hammer tank. 5 of them on the field. However, pushing up the center with Mirage tanks. Interesting indeed, just because this could be extremely powerful with that with the laser lock from that second Guardian tank. This could be doing huge amounts of damage. Once again, Twin Blade and MiG coming in to do a ton of damage. A hammer tank going to be getting eliminated right off the bat. And oh, that corrosive damage doing so much to that army from Vindies. Eliminating another hammer tank, but not losing a single Vindicator for the... Oh, look at that. A fully heroic Vindicator from Vindies. So he doesn't lose a single Vindicator in the process of eliminating those hammer tanks. However, with that single refinery getting basically locked down by that Twin Blade and MiG, The Prospector eliminated, and that's another 1,000 credits. Well, I did not expect to see that. That Prospector is an absolute hero in this battle. However, the Tesla Coil, once again, trying to get established, trying so hard to get established. That Conscript feels like a hero, but really all he did was almost shoot a dead guy, shoot an almost dead guy, rather. And now Javelin Troopers versus Conscripts, and the Javelin Troopers may actually be winning that fight. But no, the heroic status is being passed around. Hammer Tanks on the front line. Going to be taking down that expansion. Vindies going to be pulling his defense as strong as he can, but his forces are going to be getting split up. MiGs and Bullfrogs eliminating the majority of those air forces. However, is the split going to be doing anything? No, it is not doing anything, which means Hammer Tanks are going to be super, super effective. Going to be throwing down a couple of Mirage Tanks, but also those multi-gunner turrets. A couple of Conscripts do still survive, which means that they can help deal with any sort of Javelin Troopers or possibly absorb a couple of shots from these Mirage Tanks. Vindies not necessarily in a great position, but Dankal can't exactly finish him off just yet. Once again, going to be camping over this refinery. He at least knows that he has an opportunity to hit it. Bullfrog's going to be getting pulled in, but the cryo shot is absolutely perfect there. Ooh, Vindies doing a huge amount of damage there. Eliminates at least 4 Hammer Tanks. That is not going to be feeling good for Dankal. He is not going to be happy about that at all. Once again, sniping down those Prospectors. So that single cryo shot right there, I think, may have very well evened up the score at least enough for Vindies to stay in this game for the next minute or so. But again, Vindies is currently outnumbered, but is he outgunned? The Mirage Tanks in combination with any cryocopters that may be left on the field. Otherwise, if there's no cryocopters on the field, Dankal may actually need to strike right now, because with that cryo shot still recharging, this could be the opportune moment. Ooh, Apollo going to be rolling up onto the front lines, taking down possibly 2 MiGs. No, it will not get the second MiG. Escapes with just a couple of pixels of health. Going to be running away with that double veteran status, that elite status. Oh, Bullfrog's going to be taking down that Apollo, crashing it to the ground, evening up that air superiority. Another Apollo going to be added on, and a multi-gunner turrets being placed around the base as well, just by Vindies. He wants to make sure that he keeps his Prospectors safe. Wouldn't even be, never mind, it's not a bad idea at all to throw one down on the front line, just like he already did. Couple of palm trees most likely going to be joining the fight. Turns out it's just these palm trees. That palm tree is a real palm tree. It's not a fake palm tree. The 5th base going to be established for Dankal. It is spotted by Vindies, however, it will be not eliminated. I'm assuming that Bear will be popping out right there. It should be. Yeah, Bear popping out immediately locks down that Javelin Trooper and says, yeah, no, I'm going to go ahead and not let you do that. 4 MiGs on the field. One of them is pretty heavily damaged. The remaining 3 are going to be at pretty much full health. Twin Blades rocking up. However, this Apollo is here first, which means 1 and a second Twin Blade possibly going to be getting eliminated. Not utilizing any of those wonderful Soviet tricks. And, oh, that's not what we want, but rather, that is what we want. I didn't know you could actually pull that up as an observer. Just pulls it up and shows you absolutely nothing. Athena Cannon, meaning these Hammer Tanks could be doing a huge amount of damage if they're able to take it down. However, they're going to be going for that refinery. At least a couple of them might actually be better to switch the Molotov cocktails on the Conscripts and then take out the refinery with that, while the Hammer Tanks are focusing down something else. Oh, the Cryogeddon going to be getting fired off. Should be able to take down a couple of these Bullfrogs at least. One Cryocopter does get eliminated, and this multi-gunner turret is going to be getting eliminated as well, which means this War Factory might actually get frozen. No, it does not. However, the Prospector will be getting eliminated. He needs to make sure that he goes ahead and takes down both of those Bullfrogs, if at all possible. There goes both of those, but the Mirage Tank doing huge amounts of damage, almost eliminated a couple of those Hammer Tanks. A second Mirage Tank on the other side, going to be just barely turning into a tree in time. I'm not sure if that's going to be just like stop micro from the Mirage Tank. However, eliminates a second Hammer Tank, a third Hammer Tank going down, and the Cryocopter will be able to freeze this final Hammer Tank. What in the world? Vindies held that attack. He lost his refinery. Multi-gunner turrets being established. The armor facility is down as well. Dankal with a huge lead, but that attack was stopped by Vindies. He locked it down. He's got a veteran heroic units all over the map, which are going to be doing huge amounts of damage. But Dankal, he's already rebuilding. He hasn't taken very much economic damage in this game, and Dankal has been doing constant economic damage to his opponent. One MiG does get eliminated. A nice strike there for Vindies, but is it going to be enough? I do not think so. It is going to be a rough situation for Dankal, but it's going to be even rougher for Vindies. And oh! so rough for Vindies as he loses that Mirage tank, a fully heroic Mirage tank going down to that Tesla Trooper. He is not going to be very happy about that. Maybe it didn't actually go down to the Tesla Trooper. I think something else may have been able to kill it, but the Tesla Trooper was there. He was at least trying to. Oh, we could be seeing some absolutely crazy amounts of cryo with that Peacekeeper inside of that. Oh, never mind. Never mind at all, as the Tesla Troopers eliminate the Peacekeeper inside of the IFV. I was like, we could be seeing a crazy amount of cryocopters dealing damage with these. Oh, the hammer tanks completely undefended. Where are the MiGs? Where are the Bullfrogs? The Bullfrogs are back home doing absolutely nothing, which means these hammer tanks are going to be getting frozen down. If only there was something to eliminate them, like maybe a Peacekeeper inside of an IFV. But a Peacekeeper getting from that destroyed refinery will have to do one of the... the Apollo rocks up at just the last moment. That MiG was able to eliminate one of the cryocopters. However, the Mirage tank showing up to save the day isn't going to be enough. The hammer tank's going to be getting split up. Needs to make sure that he takes out the hammer tank that is still frozen, keeping it frozen. However, there's so many cryocopters on the field, and the Bullfrogs are still nowhere in sight. They're still way back at home, which means infantry in combination with those cryocopters able to eliminate that attack, but somehow Vindies is still in this game despite all of the damage put out by Dankal. I am actually unsure how Vindies is still in this game. Going to be claiming a... Nope, doesn't claim a twin blade at all. Almost loses a Apollo. The Apollo will be able to escape without too many problems. My voice going a little bit hoarse from all of this casting. But this series is absolutely awesome as Vindies going to be holding in the middle, but can he hold any longer? The next push from Dankal could be doing huge amounts of damage, but Dankal isn't able to rebuild. Another hammer tank going to be added on, but that's only a total of 3, which in combination with these cryocopters, this infantry has proven extremely powerful. Twin Blade's going to be trying to roll in, but the Bullfrog's going to be getting eliminated, which means these cryocopters are going to be remain largely untouched, freezing down that refinery, meaning that there's not a whole lot of economy going to be going on in this middle section. One more hammer tank gets eliminated by that Peacekeeper, and on top of that, this Tesla Trooper going to be getting eliminated. Could be shrinking down on the Bullfrogs. However, ooh, the MiG's going to be pulling in at just the right moment, eliminating pretty much all of those cryocopters, or just about almost all of them. However, Vindies doing a huge amount of damage. Somehow, Dankal has held with what I didn't think was going to be a superior army. Both of these players with an absolute slugfest, hitting each other back and forth. Hammer tanks getting shrunk down all over the map, but Dankal is going to be pushing out Vindies. What can he do to actually stop this? It is going to be taking great control with those cryocopters and possibly some really good placement of these multi-gunner turrets, but Dankal is not going to be easily defeated. Going to be reforming his front line. He's got conscripts, he's got Tesla Troopers, he's got hammer tanks all mixed in, but really, he needs to make sure that he's doing a better job of controlling his Bullfrogs. These cryocopters have been way too effective for the economic lead that Dankal has had for the majority of this game. However, currently, it's pretty even in the economic game, considering Vindies has been able to... Oh! If that Prospector's been doing that the entire time, that is not going to be an even economic game at all. However, barracks are going to be getting eliminated, not that big of a deal. However, a couple of Bullfrogs are going to be swinging around to the south side of the island, depending on what they're there for. Just a single Bullfrog to support 3 cryocopters. Will they actually be able to do anything? They might actually be able to lock down both of these Bullfrogs. One Bullfrog getting frozen down. Is there anything to eliminate it? Yes. Vindicator going to be rolling in to take down that Bullfrog. Always going to be nice. But if the anti-air is eliminated, if these Bullfrogs all get locked down, this could be the ticket to victory for Vindies. He's going to be pulling back. He's not going to be losing too many forces here, but Dankal needs to make sure that he stays on top of this anti-air. Even adding on flak troopers would be a good idea, just so that he's got something with his main infantry composition to help deal with those cryocopters on the front line. Twin Blade Bullfrog, a powerful combination, but is it going to be a powerful combination when you've got a Twin Blade that is that low on health, virtually dead, just flying around? Basically, the pilot is inside, flapping his arms, trying to keep that Twin Blade on the off the ground, rather. The Athena Cannon going to be getting some shots off. However, is it going to be the money shots? There's a huge amount of infantry here, and the conscripts could just about do enough damage once. Oh, that parachuting bears directly onto that army, but it was not enough. The Aegis Shield has been launched, which means these hammer tanks are not actually going to be very effective because they're getting completely shrunken down but they will be enough to eliminate a couple of these infantry. It isn't going to be good enough. The cryocopter's doing a huge amount of damage, but the hammer tank's doing insane amounts of damage as well. There's so much damage output from both sides. I think Dankal was able to do more, but it was hard to tell because Vindies was able to eliminate more tanks. And Dankal's army is composed mostly of extremely cheap conscripts, so losing those is not going to be a big deal at all, whereas losing Peacekeepers, Javelin Troopers, and Athena Cannons is a much bigger deal. However, a number of hammer tanks did go down, and we do still have a fairly even economic game between these two players. I do believe it's been on... Oh, no, this harvester, that refinery being sold off by Dankal. So he's now only on that 3 ref, which he's been rocking for the majority of this game. However, we're approaching the limit where these ore mines are actually going to be pretty much getting... Dankal has been defeated. He was like, I am out of this game. I guess he was out of money, and he did not have the ability to break into Vindies' base. Vindies was much too strong in that defensive posture for Dankal to break. But I don't know. Vindies didn't exactly have that game in the pocket either. He may have been in a bit of a stronger position, especially with those cryocopters shrinking down so many of those hammer tanks and effectively eliminating them from that one battle. However, that game absolutely crazy from both sides. A number of slip-ups by both sides and a number of mistakes made by both players. But overall, Dankal ahead in the economic game. I wonder what the total disparity between these two players in terms of resources. Interestingly enough, in total ore collected, only about 9,000 credits of difference over the course of 21 minutes. That almost doesn't mean anything at all. But overall, Dankal not able to take this game out. The GG goes to Vindies, which means game number 5 is going to be cooking up on the back burner, and that is what we are going to be heading right into. And we're bringing it right into the front burner of this stove, and I don't know why I'm trying to make some sort of cooking analogy, but this is game 5. This is what it all comes down to. We have got Dankal. He is going to be the Soviets on the left side, and of course, as the yellow allies on the right side, we do have Vindies. And it all comes down to this best of 1, because this is what we're at. 2 points for both of these players to take the title for the win, number 17. Both of these players need to come out with a win in this game, but only one of them can. We've got dogs streaming across the map to meet bears, streaming across from the other side, turning right around because he's like, my gosh, that is a lot of dogs streaming across this map. The first kill will be going to Dankal. He gets first blood, but Vindies going to be hitting back as well. And Vindies has stopped production, which means it's going to be an engineer followed up with more and more peacekeepers. No funky walls just yet out of Vindies, but there are some interesting naval transitions that he could go for. However, we will likely not be seeing this. This is going to be Cabana, which means we could be seeing a crane into expand for Dankal, is of course having that crane and being able to throw down a refinery and then move your MCV to the next location is extremely useful. The middle is going to be contended by both of these players, and the bear are going to be running around trying to go ahead and see if he can snipe down the engineer, which he may very well have already done. The dog going to be heading around to around the south side of the island to see what he can see. And instead, Dankal, Vindies, what is he going to be doing? Nothing too wonky just yet. He's got his naval yard down, but this isn't crazy just yet. This is the potential to be absolutely crazy. The super reactor being canceled there. But it is going to be the dog scouting absolutely everything. He sees the MCV moving out. There's no crane, which means that there is not going to be a war factory on the field for another 30 seconds or so. What is going to be out of the naval yard? It's going to be a Riptide, and the MCV is on the move. Ooh, this could be a huge, huge move. We do have Vindies going to be loading up 5 Javelin Troopers into that Riptide. This could be some degree of a turret push in accompaniment with this Riptide, although he could be just going for a 3rd expansion on the water here. He is going to be basically sacking his main. Oh, this could be absolutely huge for Dankal. He could be ending the game right here if he's able to take out the main of his opponent, which means no more production structures, no more economy. This Riptide, will he be able to do the damage necessary to these conscripts? Will he be able to take down enough conscripts fast enough? However, they do get the surround. The Peacekeepers rather get the surround on that Riptide, and the splitting of the conscripts is not going to be enough. These Peacekeepers doing so much damage in combination with the Riptide. All of the conscripts getting eliminated, almost all of them. A couple of them going to be forced to retreat. Huge amounts of damage being done by Vindies. The attack completely thwarted. Dankal throwing away thousands of credits of resources into that attack and getting very little return on his investment. The MCV going to be establishing that third base, and that Riptide full of Javelin Troopers going to be moving into the Bane, but there's so many Flak Troopers here. The Super Reactor is going to be established, but can the Flak Troopers defend? They're being pulled at the last second. They do reverse and are going to be heading straight for that Riptide. However, they are going to be going for... They should be able to actually take down these Javelin Troopers relatively quickly. That attack, once again, being thwarted by Dankal. So both of these players holding off their opponent's main attacks, and that Riptide going to be getting eliminated. No heavy losses from either side. However, heavy losses are incurred by the attacking side. Basically, the attack's going to be getting completely eliminated. Dankal should be able to hold off this Riptide. It won't be able to do too much damage. He's going to be throwing down the airfield at his natural expansion, but he's also going to be walling it off, which is going to be a nice move. Also going to be grabbing this building on the right side of the map, meaning that he will be able to see once that expansion gets established. Neither one of these players has grabbed their oil derrick just yet. However, Peacekeeper is an interesting choice. They're not going to be able to do a whole lot about those walls, and the MCV will either be able to pack up and run away or pack up and crush these units, one or the other. The MCV going to be moving out of town. Shrunk down MCV Tier 2 already out on the field for Vindies. He's going to be actually heading onto the land, which actually, no, he's not going to be heading onto the land. He's going to be setting up a fourth base. Whoa, Flak Troopers could be doing huge amounts of damage here. One of them does get frozen down, going to be having to split his bombs just perfectly. Doesn't quite split them perfectly. Instead, going to be trading that one single Vindicator for both of those Flak Troopers. Not exactly ideal, but the Twin Blade is now on the field, which means this Riptide does get eliminated right there. That MCV going to be able to escape relatively safely, only taking a little bit of damage there. And this MCV going to be getting forced back. However, how soon will it actually have to end up moving? He may very well be able to... Nope. Cancels whatever he was building. Going to be pulling his MCV back. A couple of bears on the field. However, the shrink ray from that cryocopter going to be allowing that MCV to get out of danger's way absolutely very easily. However, a couple of MiGs going to be able to eliminate this cryocopter. That power plant is not going to be doing Vindies a whole lot of good. Goodbye, cryocopter. Almost crashes into the MCV. A couple Apollos going to be rushing down. Are they going to be able to catch the MiGs? No, they are not. Which, of course, the Apollos in an engagement with the MiGs will be able to run back home and get free repairs, unlike the MiGs. Twin Blade going to be rolling out. MiGs and Apollos going to be passing each other. However, one Vindicator does go down, and the Flak Troopers are here to support the MiGs of Dankal, which means his MiGs are going to be doing absolutely great in those engagements versus the Apollos. However, the Apollos, if they get healed back up to full, they could be able to contend those MiGs relatively easily. Twin Blade and MiG going to be moving out to the right side of the field. Dankal going to be in a pretty strong position, but Vindies is not out of this game yet. In fact, could be freezing down these walls and might entirely miss that Prospector. Yeah, he completely misses the Ore Collector there with that cryo shot. Doesn't time it quite right. We're going to be making use of those Delta airstrikes to do more damage to that Prospector. A nice move there by Dankal, but what does he really need to do to win this game? We need to see him strike down his opponent's economy, which is what he's been trying to do this entire match. But moving in with this conscript army could be exactly what he needs. However, he cannot move in with just the conscripts. He's going to need something to deal with those cryocopters. We've seen in previous games, Vindies has been extremely effective, and just allied players in general. When they can control with those cryocopters, they can be extremely effective. 4 MiGs on the field is exactly what is going to be good. This could be it. Vindies is going to be needing a lot of firepower to deal with these 4 MiGs. If he loses these expansions, this game will absolutely be over. It'll be almost impossible for Vindies to come back from that sort of an attack. Conscripts rolling into the base from the north. Twin Blade already in the base doing damage to that Prospector. Vindies, what can he actually do? He's got hydrofoils, but he doesn't have the Apollos. He doesn't have the airfield, and it may simply be too little too late. He's got nothing on the ground to contend this. He never built his armor facility. He's got no Guardian tanks to do any sort of crushing. This Prospector may be able to do a lot of damage. Does get a number of crushes there. At least 6, 7 conscripts get taken out there. So actually that was a nice crush by Dankal, but ultimately he has no income from Vindies. Vindies has no income. Those were some nice crushes by him, but again, no income, and he's got this one attack He was going for that aircraft carrier, but it simply was not enough. Dankal takes game number 5, and he does win the For the Win number 17 tournament. Vindies giving him a run for his money, absolutely, especially in game number 4, holding on against all odds, engaging extremely efficiently. However, in the end, game 5 had to go to Dankal, unless for whatever reason he saw that one aircraft carrier and was like, you know what, that one aircraft carrier is definitely going to destroy all my stuff before I can do anything about that. The hydrofoils, if that aircraft carrier had been maybe about a minute earlier, it would have been at a brilliant time with those hydrofoils there, that it could have done a huge amount of damage, but ultimately, the main base getting sacked by Vindies, or by Dankal of Vindies, sealed the deal there, and that will take us to the absolute grand finals being completed of this tournament, and I do not remember if this was actually double elimination or single elimination, but regardless, Dankal is going to be our victor, and For the Win 18 going to be coming up in just a few days. Super excited for that huge lineup there. If you guys are not aware, For the Win 18, the successor, actually kind of the successor to the successor of this tournament, because there was kind of the wonky morning after For the Win 17 that happened. However, For the Win 18 going to be coming up. A ton of players are going to be participating, hopefully. A ton of players have signed up. Doesn't always mean a ton of players are actually going to be showing up on the day of the tournament. They're just like, yes, I will show up, and then they don't actually show up, but of course that is how things go. However, if a ton of players actually do show up, there will be a ton of live streams happening by the players. Unfortunately, I will not be able to cast it live, but likely we will be taking a look at least the finals of that tournament, possibly the semifinals. A ton of talent, even some old school players, Kiwi rocking up, and a couple of older school players as well going to be showing up, which, I mean, Kiwi not super old school or anything. But anyways, the tournament going to be absolutely awesome. You can, of course, check out GameReplays.org, specifically red3.org, for all of that action. There's an announcement there if you'd like to participate, join in, and watch the action coming up on, I believe, August 10th, which should be happening at 1400 GMT, which is typically 1600 Central European summertime. But that will do it for this series, and of course, tune in to For the Win number 18 coming up this Saturday. This is Sybert, signing out.